Hello, everybody. Dave Neal here, stand-up comic and host of Bachelorette Recap, a guy's review. We will be previewing Katie Thurston's Week 6 of The Bachelorette today at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on my West Coast live stream. You can go check that out. Later on today, we'll have a ton of other content, including my interview with Reality Steve. It'll come out on my channel in just a couple hours, so make sure to hit subscribe and stick around for that. If you enjoy the contents of my channel, you can like this video. It's going to get tough. We're going to talk about Justin Glaze and Andrew Spencer, two very lovable cast members on this season of The Bachelorette. Offensive tweets come out. Now listen, Twitter there's good aspects of Twitter. It's been responsible for literal civil uprisings and communal gatherings and changes progressively, but it also brings out time receipts of our past. Some people say, why didn't they scrub these tweets? Why didn't they get rid of these tweets? That's just the beauty of Twitter, isn't it? Sometimes you don't even know what you said out there when you were 14 and you were upset, or 19 or 21 or 30. The age is almost irrelevant to ignorance, but we're going to get right into it. So I'm going to share with you Justin's tweets. When you see these, Reddit compiled them, they put a trigger warning together. It's like, look, there's going to be some hateful tweets I'm about to show you. And if you're not in the right headspace for it, just don't watch this. Don't watch this. But, to say they're triggering if they're homophobic or fatphobic, sure, absolutely. That's the case. That's the case with bad tweets. That's the case with hateful, ignorant tweets. Now, the question being, are we going to hold these men accountable for tweets they said years ago? To be honest, I'm excited to hear what they have to say. They're both Bachelorette sort of stars this season. They're both loved for their own reason. We've got Justin with the facial reactions. Everyone loves him. And then Andrew, we'll show in a minute. Where is he over here? Andrew is just a lovable guy. Everyone loves Andrew. He plays football in a league in Europe. He's cousins with Clay Harbor. He's very lovable. Both of these men are candidates for the next season of The Bachelor if they don't win Katie's heart this year. So we're going to get right into it. And let me, so the title, and Reddit put these together: offensive tweets by Justin from Katie's season, racially charged, homophobic, etc. So here we go. Let's get into it. I'll try to replace some of the words with, abbreviations, just so I don't say it on the old YouTubes. Hashtag I can't date a girl with crusty ass feet, hot ass breath like baby shit, body big enough to be an avatar and shit. Or if she dark as Flavor Flav. Justin Glaze. And this is 10 years ago. This is actually just over 10 years ago. Just threw up my dinner after seeing that gay-ass belly dancer. TF. This is at so-and-so. They always show a well-spoken Caucasian cashier. They need to have a rude black bitch as a cashier once. So true, SMH. So he was quoting somebody, it appears. I don't even know how Twitter works, guys. I'm too old for this. Justin says, what is that F wearing? Then Justin said, whose fault is that? Poor F can't handle a little kitchen knife at work. No type of coordination at all. How sad. All right, so let's deal with Justin before we get to Andrew. When it comes to breaking down and coping with words, and I look at this extensively. I'm a stand-up comic. I look at which words you can say on stage, which words you can't say, how to frame them in the context of the joke, how to frame them in the context of the time period. Now, with that said, there are communities, including the one I came up in New England, which is a fairly all-white Irish Catholic community, and also black communities that say a lot, that have in the past have said a lot of homophobic things and used words to replace others, calling things gay, calling things the F word, that don't really even constitute the actual meaning of that word. These aren't excuses. So it's important. Usually when people comment, they go, Dave, it's no excuse. These aren't excuses. But it's important to look at language. It's important to look at where words were used. And again, should this have been taken down? Yes. What happens is this. there's a way to go on Twitter and type in like a very simple code. You can look it up, and then you can insert a word, and it'll say if that word was ever said by that person. So imagine if you could do this in your real life. Imagine if you could do this in your real life where you could search a word and see what it, so someone can just search Justin Glaze and they can search the F word, the N word, the R word, any fat words, black. You can search anything you want and pull up a ignorant time in someone's life. So should these have been taken off? Yeah. But I think what actually happens is I think they do like a basic scrub where they go, okay, and they kind of skim over and they go, well, maybe they didn't catch these. These are the ones that weren't caught. Doesn't mean that he said worse things? Maybe. But haven't we all? And it's important to be sort of fair and object there. A lot of people commented, oh my gosh, I would never. I couldn't believe it. How didn't he know better? How ignorant of you, the commenters, to think you have never said things you regret. It might not be the same. It might be in a different context. I don't know where Justin Glaze is coming from, but I will bet you with all my being, I will respect or at least listen to whatever he has to say about all this. Now, this is my first video of the day. Maybe I should have finished my coffee first. You can hear my voice. But it's an important conversation. For fear of coming off a little too wordy or redundant, I'll make myself clear. And I don't think these days I'm getting too many people misinterpreting my intention because I am coming at this very eloquently, or at least trying to for my ways, So let's go to best comments because those highlight the ones that were most talked about here. And we'll see what people have to say. First comment. Hi, folks. Going to be honest, not a lot of mods are active right now, and those of us here are a bit overwhelmed with the flaming and microaggressions happening. We're going to lock these comments down, so the comments got locked. The fact that people don't delete their old Twitters or at least look at them before appearing on national TV is so crazy to me. Right, but that doesn't really say much about what the tweets say. That just says, how did this even get passed through? This is what I get for openly lusting after these folks. Y'all, if Alex Bordy does something, please just block me. Because these were fan favorites. They loved these guys. I feel like this is going to be a recurring thing, unfortunately, with contestants moving forward. They are at an age now where they had access to socials like Twitter, IG, Facebook when they were teens, which doesn't excuse it, but just makes it more likely that they said crazy stuff like this compared to older people who got socials at that same time. Virtually any would-be suitor under 25 on these shows is going to would-be suitor under 25 on these shows is going to have grown up with socials and internet access phones since they were young teens. That generation better be ready to apologize or have the foresight to scrub their social media before they come on. Yep. So, someone said, this is incredibly disappointing. I just don't understand why anyone thinks it's a good idea to post hateful remarks on social media, like even back then. What the actual F? Well, that's and this is where we get it wrong. Someone says, how did they think it was a good idea to post hateful remarks? You don't necessarily know your own hate. And this is where we have to break it down and go, someone wasn't like, all right, I'm going to hate on dark-skinned black women right now. No, there's a deep issue there that needs to be addressed or has been addressed, but it's not someone actively knowing they're being hateful. That's the same thing that happens with ignorance and in a lot of cases, racism. I'm not a racist, but whoa, what are you about to say? You know what I mean? This is disgusting. Just when I was starting to like him too with his wild facial expressions. Wow, so disappointed. Why is it so hard for the producers to properly vet the contestants? Could they properly vet the contestants? I mean, the reason why this happens on the show is because it's easy to find 20 guys where several of them are going to have this issue. Now, and again, I don't think this is a topic for me to discuss, but the issue here is different than like Rachel Kirkconnell with her past Twitter. The issue here is what was being said in communities, especially amongst teens, literally, growing up with social media for the first time. What was being said in their communities, and how do they reckon with it now? So that's all we can do is see how they reckon with it now. Someone said, really, really disappointed to see that Andrew S. has some less than lovely tweets as well. Credit to the Bachelor POC sub for finding these, but man, this sucks. Damn. Double homicide. Yeah, so this all came out last night, so people are upset. And look, I totally understand. When Taylor's tweets came out, I searched my own Twitter for tons of problematic words and saw one bad tweet from 2010 and immediately deleted it. It's not that hard to scrub your Twitter clean. Yeah. Is it really that hard to not delete offensive stuff from your Twitter? Am I right? Someone said, I mean, these were long enough ago that he probably doesn't even remember tweeting that stuff. But yeah, I'm surprised contestants don't think to go through their stuff before the show just in case. Yeah, there's two issues here. Do you remember tweeting it? Which I'm sure it's a no, because these are 10 years old. I don't remember what I had for dinner 2 nights ago. Do they remember tweeting it? No. And then did they have the wherewithal to learn how to go through it? This obviously should exist. You could pay someone simple money to go through each contestant. It might take a couple days, but you go in total. I think you could spend 3 hours on each contestant and search probably 30 different words. All of which Taylor Nolan would have, triggered because her past tweets were insane. But you have to understand, people are tweeting from the hip. They're boom, boom. They're doing it while they're talking to other people. Man, this guy thinks he can X, Y. Oh, he thinks I'm going to date that. It's too easy to send out these tweets for these kids. Woo, woo, woo. To all the dark-skinned girls that are constantly overlooked, told they are not good enough to date or marry, I love you. Sending you peace, love, and good vibes. Spread that black girl magic, because if we don't protect our light and sanity, it's clear no one else gives a fuck. This might be, I don't know if this is the worst, the most egregious of all the tweets, because it's hard to say what's worse than others, but this one really is going to sting with people. I can imagine. Justin being like you could see how this can cut, because it's one thing to judge someone for the color of their skin, but it's another when it's from a community that's already in a minority status, where he's got his own struggles. So you would think he would understand, like, not to rain on someone else's parade on their struggles and being part of the problem. But that's kind of what happens. That's what happens in culture, is that everyone's jockeying for a position, and there's a hierarchy, and it sucks, guys, and it sucks. And it's really a bummer to see. Like I said, we're going to get back to you guys with all the different, I'm sure we're going to get apologies. Obviously with Rachel Kirkconnell, she didn't apologize for several months, and that was really disappointing to people, and it kind of started like petitions and a lot of outcry. I would expect apologies today, so stick around and we'll have to see how it goes. So let's go to Andrew here. Okay, we're done with Justin. So my summation with everything from Justin is this. I'm going to hear what he has to say, but these don't look good. They don't look good, and that's the problem with tweets. They don't look good. We're going to have to reckon with this with politicians. I mean, we have a whole generation of people that grew up with Twitter before they were even developed with their prefrontal cortex. Are these excuses? Call it what you want. But I think I don't have kids, but boy, oh boy, when I do, I hope I have the knowledge of whatever the new apps are, and I hope I'm able to really teach them, what's right from wrong. But at the same time, I have a lot of empathy here for them and for also the people that were affected by reading these. I feel bad for everyone, because these are fan favorites. These are people we're trying to look up to. All right, so these are the problematic tweets from Andrew. You got a STD, you nasty ass African. And these are 2013. And Darrell, stop talking to fat hoes. That income taxes be black people real Christmas. At Kendall Jenner, you're just jealous. I'm going to be the next Reggie Bush in that family, which was a former football player who dated Kim Kardashian. Sorry, guys, I don't know. Is that who it was? It's not important. Bruh, Trump is hilarious, dog. This one, I don't understand how this is problematic. If anyone wants to let me know, please do. I don't understand how this is problematic. Trump, I am not a fan. I made a video about how if everyone in the debate was a comedian, which type of comedian they would be back a few years ago. And I made a video about Trump and how he uses comedic techniques to win over audiences. Which is true. He uses a ton of stand-up comedy techniques to win over crowds. He gets the crowd clapping. Oh, isn't this nice? You guys look nice. You like this, right? Oh, what a big crowd. You had a good time last night, right? He asks rhetorical questions to get them to clap. He does a ton of comedic things. I got a video about that. If anyone wants it, let me know in the comment section. You can watch it. But the point is that unless I'm missing something here, was this because this was last year? I don't know. Guys. I don't know. Trump's got a lot of issues, but I don't think this tweet is one of them. Matt's going to marry a black girl. Laugh, laugh. I don't know which Matt he's referring to. I don't think it matters, right? Whatever. Well, I mean, and it's kind of important to know this. So unfortunately, I don't know. I don't even know what he's talking about here. All blondes have little lips. Laugh, laugh. So tell me why I come home and there's a white woman in Darrell's bed. No, at someone, ha ha ha. You get the sloppy seconds or nah. You know me, size 17, Bernard. I don't know who Darrell is, but Darrell and Andrew clearly have a lot going on here. This is not me. This is some Ethiopian kid. At Spencer. So is this him replying to himself? Ain't no black girl wanna wake up to your hot breath in the morning. Anyways, just playing. Andrew says, let me be the next Bachelor. He said that 7 years ago. I bet that's when he's probably like, I said that? Maybe he was watching the show. Maybe maybe one of the Bachelors got a good deal on something. He's like, I want to be the next Bachelor. I don't know. So anyway, I'm not defending these, but I also don't understand some of them. So whenever there's a word that's highlighted, it's something somebody looked up. So I don't know. Did they look up Ethiopian? Like, I don't understand. How did someone even know to search for these is the question. And, what happens with, like, Taylor Nolan when Taylor Nolan was had all of her tweets come out, she got very defensive and she was like, oh my gosh, someone's out to get me. They've sourced this in bad faith. And in reality, Steve got defensive too when his tweets were read on Chatty Broads. So the conversation I had with Reality Steve yesterday, we're trying to preach the learning from your mistakes, the discourse, the idea that after someone apologizes, talk about your actions to do better. And then the difference between justification versus explanation. So a lot of times when you hear someone's excuse, like how times were or things were different, everyone feels like they're justifying their past. And I think rather than looking at it as justifying, we need to look at it as someone explaining their past. So I talked to Reality Steve about that. That video will be up in a couple hours. But the ideas are simple. People can be defensive because they're like, why would someone drudge up all my history like this? Do they not like me? Am I not, did I set somebody off? And feeling defensive like that is fine. It's like one of the stages of grief. You're grieving over the fact that you've got people don't like you now, and that's okay to feel that way because you can be someone who is responsible for this targeted hatred or whatever it might be, but you can also be that same person who's coming from your own ignorance and realizing, geez, I said all that. When you put that all together, I look like a monster. Anyway, we don't know if he said 4,000 tweets and 0.1% of them were negative like this, or if it's someone like Taylor Nolan, who every single tweet was like really cutting. Like, we just don't know. But what we know is like we can judge how they move forward. And we'll have to see, like, will they be treated the way past contestants have been treated, where they're kind of looked at, with a sort of like an asterisk of like, oh, but they said this when they in their past. I think it's just important as we sort of deal with moving forward that we just understand that people come from their own dark places and dark stories. So let's see what people had to say about the Andrew S. tweets. And then, of course, naturally, people are going to try to rank them, like which one was worse. And it's like, that's just not a game worth playing, Not a game worth playing. These tweets and the ones from Justin are obviously awful, but my other takeaway is holy effing S. How is the year 2021 people not scrubbing all their social media accounts before coming on the show? Katie and Greg did, so some of them are aware of the stuff we dig out. I can honestly and truthfully say I put my head all the way in the sand for Andrew when I spotted some things that gave me pause because his energy is just so cute on the show. I'm such a clown. Well, this is incredibly disappointing. Oh man, the apple doesn't fall far from the clay. I don't really know what the deal is with clay. Ugh, this is so disappointing. I really like him on the show. I don't get why these people don't clean up their social media before they get on the show. I can maybe get over someone being young, dumb, and ignorant in the past, but you grew up and looked at that stuff in the light of day now and didn't see a problem. Again, that argues the fact that they looked at these and decided to keep them up. That argues the fact that they said, oh, no, I'll leave this up. That's not what happened. That's just not what happened. You got to throw that argument out. What happened is they didn't know they had these tweets up, because I mean, you got to assume that any person in the world wouldn't want to keep this up. Not the "let me be the next Bachelor" comment, but in all seriousness, these tweets are not shocking to me at all. As a black woman, I made a post while Matt's season was airing about self-hatred among the black community and the fetishizing of white women that run rampant in the African American community and the degrading attitudes some black hold toward their black women. And while that post was generally well received and many of y'all said it opened your eyes, I still found myself fighting with a lot of people, many white women who just don't get it and don't see what some black people see every day. It's even worse when black people are raised in white spaces. It's hard because the conversation is bigger than this subreddit, and white people who truly want to be allies need to learn a lot to have even a small chance of understanding racism. It's not just blatant racism, but there is ignorance, subconscious colorism, misogynoir. Every day I unfollow black men that I've personally known since middle school because of comments like the one presented by Andrew S. I had a feeling when he downplayed his racist ex that he had problematic mindset when it comes down to black women. So that's the important. That's a great comment, and it's kind of what we need to think about when we respectfully discuss things like these moving forward. Is that some communities are going to be hurt more than others, because while it doesn't seem like the worst thing in the world to be said, microaggressions and in certain like demeaning of other classes within the same within minority groups, it's cutting, because these are issues that just affects them over and over and over again. So my heart goes to people that are affected by all this. At the same time, I appreciate those that are willing to have this conversation. And I will say this, a lot of people with past conversations like this say, Dave, shut up. Why do we need to hear a white guy talk about this? Well, and while this might not be as pertinent to these two accounts here, the idea that racism is something that needs to be handled by one group, a minority group, or another group, or this or that, that's just hogwash, right? Like, it's something that affects everyone, and it affects our kids, our friends' kids, our grandmas. Everyone out there is in this conversation, and we just need to lead with love. What you see in those tweets are people that didn't lead with love. At the same time, what you see in those tweets are teenagers that are products of family, parents, older brothers, siblings. The tweet about the gay belly dancer. Those are all fear-based. They come from a place of fear. They come from a place of ignorance. They come from someone who's molded by parents and friends and this and that. So it's a cultural problem. It's a problem we're working through. I hope that their apologies knock it out of the park, and then we can have conversations about moving forward. Let me know what you guys think. Leave a comment. My interview with Reality Steve is coming up in a couple hours, and we're reckoning with it, folks. We're talking a lot about it. I think the discourse is important, and I think that's one benefit to this show, The Bachelorette, is that it enables us to look at people that we've built empathy with. People that we've decided we like these guys. Everyone's decided we like these guys. They're not problematic at all. And then we see this and we go, can we still like them? And I think the answer to that question will be different for everybody. But it comes down to your willingness to forgive, your willingness to have empathy, and see where people go in life and also where they come from. Let me know. Leave a comment. Subscribe. I'll see you guys in a little bit.